Hey everyone, this is Nick Jeffries of New Projects and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Now today I thought I'd just run by how I got into design and build in Fulham. So going back 20 years ago, I was a off-market agent. Now I got into being an off-market agent because one of my buddies said to me, Nick, I think you are going to be really good at finding opportunities and packaging them up for me because he was a developer. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. So it was in Portsmouth and he set me up in his office. And this is just before kind of the internet went wild, maybe 20 years ago. Now, I quickly understood and found out that volume matters. So I was writing letters to close down pubs and restaurants and bars and commercial units. And I was basically saying, look, if you ever thinking about selling your property, we'd be interested in buying it on a subject to planning basis. So I then picked up on that if I utilized Yale.com, the online hub of information for businesses, I quickly found out that I could strip down all the information, all the company's names, addresses, everything I need to do, put it onto a spreadsheet, put it on the PC, and literally email 1,000 people a week, or I used to print them out, put them in an envelope, write the address by hand, put the stamp on, and then posted them. And you know what? I did that for months and months and months. And over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, I actually got lots of inquiries. And then off the back of me learning how to do that, I spent a lot of time in Dubai. And I actually got married in Dubai in 2003. And then I spent a lot of time from 2003, 4, 5 working for this British developer in Dubai. This is before Dubai was ever a go-to destination. And we were finding land deals in Dubai. But along came the global credit crunch. So what was this, 2006, 2007? It all stopped overnight. And I had to reinvent myself. So doing that, I ended up back in London and I thought I'm going to learn my skills in London and I'm going to transfer all these opportunities which I find and I'm going to give them to maybe high net worths in London. So lucky enough, I found one and I knew this guy. I won't mention his name. And he said, look, Nick, if you find any opportunities, I will give you an introduction fee on the way in and I'll give you an introduction fee on the way out. So that's what happened. About 2 months into it, I found my first ever project in London. It was in Deanery Street, number 2 Deanery Street, which was behind the Grosvenor Hotel. It's a fantastic townhouse. If any of you guys know Mayfair, super prime. And we bought it for £2.2 million. We got planning to extend it into the garden to add square footage. And then the guy said, right, let's not develop it out ourselves. Let's just sell it once it gets planning. So guess what? That's exactly what he did. He put it back on the market and he sold it for £3 million 6 months later without doing anything. And off the back of that, we did 2 or 3 more deals with him. And I made my percentage on the way in and percentage on the way out. And then one day, about 2 years later, one of his mates said to me, Nick, if you ever find a project, I'll give you the money to do it. And that is exactly what happened. I found a project on the auction with Savills. It was a one little tiny studio apartment. We bought it for £250,000. We spent £30,000 doing it up and we sold it for £350,000 about 2 months later after a tiny little refurb. So that was my first ever project in London. And then the guy said to me, Nick, do you want to do it again? I said, yes, let's do it again. So we found a project again on Savills auction, and this time it was on Holyport Road in Fulham. It was a terraced house. It needed a kitchen extension and it needed a loft conversion. So once we got these, I think we paid £550,000 for the property. I think it's going back a long time. May even been 450. We spent 200 grand doing it up. 6 months later, we sold it for £950,000. That's a lot of money. And off the back of that, guess what happened? The neighbours kept saying to me, Nick, I've seen your project. We like what you're doing. Can you do my project as well? Because I want exactly the same. I want a kitchen extension and I want a loft conversion. And guess what? That was our first project under new. That's what started us. In 2010, that was our first ever project in London. And that's what brought us to Fulham. That is where I am today. I'm in my Fulham office on the Fulham High Street. So it's funny how things pan out. You've got to step forward. You've got to aim towards what you want to do. And then sometimes it takes you on a different course. But that's what brought us over to new. So that's my little story on how I got into design and build in Fulham. So if you like these stories and you want to find out a little bit more about me, I'll do one of these videos once a week. So don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and let's catch up soon. See ya.